Welcome to Syntax. Today we're talking about what is missing from the web platform. The web platform, JavaScript, CSS, browsers, runtimes, syntax, APIs, all of that stuff. The last, maybe 2 or 3 years, we've gotten just this massive swath of APIs that if you walk up to most developers and say, hey, like what do you need? What's missing? A lot of people will go, man, things are actually in a pretty good shape, but there's still a handful of things that are missing from the web, from us being able to build the best apps possible. So what we're going to do is we asked on Twitter. Me and Scott have a huge list ourselves, a big wish list. We're going to go through all of the different things that we wish we had, from like primitives in the UI, different types of syntax we'd like to see added to JavaScript, different APIs we'd like added, Bluetooth, serial, NFC, and then CSS, browsers, as well as, of course, we'll talk about the AI access and what those APIs might even look like in the browser. My name is Wes Boss. I'm a developer from Canada. With me, as always, is Scott Talinsky. Scott's a little hurt today. You want to give us the lowdown?
I don't. I'm always hurty. I feel like every other episode we do, I got something going on.
Some ailment.
Some ailment. Yeah. No, I had an elective surgery done. I couldn't breathe. I had a deviated septum, so they had to go in and I'll save any of the gory details. They opened things up and fixed all that stuff.
Sliced them right up.
Yeah, so I can breathe. Like I was snoring and stuff, and it's not like sleep apnea. It's just because I broke my nose or whatever happened. Recovery's not usually that bad. I was supposed to be good by like Saturday, Sunday, after a surgery on Wednesday. And for the most part, my nose feels great. But I had some from the trachea they put in. My throat is all jacked, so I got throat numbness going on. I'm on some drugs, but I feel ready to go. I can talk. Yeah, let's go. I'm excited about this actually, because I was looking over your episode notes and I had a couple of wild ideas myself of things that are not likely. But I'm curious because the web does seem like there's just awesome stuff all the time these days, and I'm excited for what could be.
Yeah. All right, so the first one we have here is better primitives in the DOM, right? So what that means is that we have select, you've got radio checkboxes, you've got date picker, things like that, but typically nobody uses those primitives aside from maybe input type of text and input type of email. And then past that, everybody's npm installing something and using a whole bunch of JavaScript. And that's because the primitives suck. The input type of date sucks, right? That's not a good experience to be able to do it. You can't style it how you want. You can't have full control over it. So the web platform knows about this and they've been working on it. And the first big one we've had in terms of a very good primitive is the customizable select. And what that allows you to do now is you can now create a drop down with a select element, but you have full control over all of the CSS, what it looks like, all of that great stuff, without having to give up any of the downsides of accessibility and keyboard control, things like that, as well as you don't have to install a whole bunch of stuff, which is the customizable select is absolutely awesome.
Huge improvement.
This is almost like moving into like headless UI as well, meaning that headless UI is the browser will bring the functionality, or your JavaScript library brings the functionality, and you bring the divs, you bring the CSS, and you can sort of render it out and add whatever divs or spans or anything you want inside of there. Now, that's great. And now they're working on multi-select as well as Combobox, be able to filter, find people, drop down. And then a lot of people are saying what other inputs do we need? Date picker is the big one as well.
So they are working on Combobox? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, Combobox is being worked on right now, which is huge because you want to be able to filter and select multiples, and select the 3 tags from this list. You want to filter and select the items and have a list of the tags that you've selected.
Yeah, I'm always looking at Open UI for ideas for a lot of these things because it's like a W3C community group where they're researching just UI elements and what could be. And it's a good place to list through the kind of things that we would need. But yeah, I think that the first one you have here as date picker, we have a date picker. It's questionable. I don't. I use it when I'm lazy. I'll say that. I'll use the date picker when I'm lazy, but it ultimately isn't as functional or as useful as other, JavaScript based date pickers. So to me, I think that there's just like a major opportunity there to improve that. Make it stylable too. Like, come on, all this stuff. I feel like nothing should be added that can't be stylable anymore.
No, I don't think anything will ever be added that can't be styled like any longer, right?
Really?
Because those days have passed. If you're making any new primitives to the browser, you got to be able to fully control it. You got to be able to render out the different parts of it. You can't just like write video tag and then that's it, right? You should be able to have access to all of the, like, a default UI. That's another, a lot of people were saying that as well. It's like, have good default UI. That's nice, but also give us full control over these primitives. So I don't think we'll ever see a date picker, and I'll tell you why. Because a date picker is so complex, right? You have range inputs. Sometimes you want to be able to put things on the different days. Like maybe you want to put prices for like a flight or Airbnb. You want to be able to not allow selecting of certain ones. It is just far too complex for that type of thing. So I don't think we'll ever see a date picker. And in that case, if you have a complex date picker, that's something that you probably should still reach for an external UI for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that probably tracks. It is one of those things that feels like you need more often than not, and then every single time you're doing it, it's just It's one of those things.
There's good ones out there. I think the idea with a lot of these primitives that we're getting, like customizable select, accordions, popover, anchor, a lot of these primitives are not meant to be like, you'll just use this thing straight. It's like, here is a primitive which you can then customize yourself, or like ShadCN is going to use these primitives in there, and that means they're going to need a lot less JavaScript in order to make it work, and you can simply just pop it in, and you could just slap a select in there, and then you can import some external CSS library, and the thing will start looking pretty good.
Yeah. I have tabs on here. Tabs have been like one of the most common UI elements of all time. And how do we not have a tab HTML system? I mean, we have accordions, details, and stuff like that. They could do anything with tabs. I feel like this is just long overdue, personally.
Can't you do that with an accordion or like a details?
I mean, no, not to the degree that you would want to. Like the thing is that you'd want it to just function like tabs, like how they function, and
you don't want to have to hack it.
You don't want to have to hack it, and so for me, I feel like this is the obvious one. But
another one for me is like a file upload, at least being able to style it, and if it's an image, you could preview it. Anytime you want to like preview an image that somebody has uploaded, you gotta get the file reader API out. You gotta read that thing into like a binary blob, and then you gotta paint that thing. You either then convert that blob into like a URL, which you can then display as like an image, or you can paint that thing to a canvas, and then you can resize it based off of that. But so many times I've just wanted a simple file upload, and then I want like a half decent being able to style it.
The default styling for the default file upload is one of the worst things on the web. Yeah. I've made so many drop zone components for dropping files and stuff like that, and it's like, I always hate having to do that without an actual JavaScript based component. I actually do have something that is just a CSS version of that in my Graffiti UI library. That is like a drop zone nicely styled, but it doesn't have the previews and stuff like that. So I can totally see. One that I have here is toggles. Yeah, we have a checkbox, and yes, Safari does have toggles. Just add it to Chrome, add it to Firefox. Do it already, because the toggle is such a ubiquitous standard UI element at this point. The fact that Safari is the only one that has added it as an option to be default styled and stuff, just do it. Make it stylable. Toggles. Come on.
Yeah, this is so key, because like what are you going to do otherwise? You're going to make it not accessible, right? You're going to put a whole bunch of divs over top of the thing. You're going to hide the actual checkbox, and you got to spend a whole bunch of extra work trying to get that thing to be accessible. Or you're going to install some third-party component.
Right.
Toggle, yeah, it's such a good primitive that we need to have, right? We have progress. We have like the progress bar. You're almost there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, all of these ones. And again, like Safari did it. So it's not like nobody's doing it. And that should be enough of a good start. I don't know. Not adding this just feels weird to me at this point.
Yeah.
I also have native drag and drop that doesn't suck. The drag and drop just kind of aesthetic, it like ghosts it out in the way that native drag and drop works. Like, it's another one where it just feels half-assed in terms of the implementation not matching how people actually want to use drag and drop in real life. So, it's fine.
That's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen.
If you take a look at Atlassian's pragmatic drag and drop, we had the developer on the show. That drag and drop is such a can of worms that I think they did the right thing in that they gave us the correct browser primitives for draggable, droppable. They gave us the correct primitives for like drop zone, where you're allowed to drop things. They gave us all of the JavaScript events for that type of thing. But there's so many things, like what happens when you start dragging it? Does it leave the old thing behind?
Yeah.
And then ghost it out, or does it immediately like move up? Like if you're dragging an item from a list, should it immediately take it out of there? And what happens when you drop it? Does it make a copy of it? There's so much to it that I think that this is absolutely one of those things where you need to reach for a library. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I feel like you're going to hear a fully version of idealistic Scott talking in this episode. I feel like there's a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, this doesn't work. And I will admit to my ideas here, a lot of the ideas in here being just fully idealist, not thinking about edge cases, not thinking about reality. I'm fully living in my, I just want this mode in this episode. I'll say that.
In terms of syntax for the language, a lot of people said they want type annotations, which is they basically just want TypeScript in JavaScript. And there are kind of like two movements for that already, right? There is a proposal for something called types as comments, meaning that you would be able to put your TypeScript code in the browser, but the browser would simply just ignore it, meaning that it would treat the syntax of like the added TypeScript syntax, it would just treat that as a comment, meaning it would then ignore it. So that's being worked on. Whether we'll ever get that or not remains to be seen, but it seems to be that the browser will not care about that, or will not use any of that information. What do you think? Should TypeScript be added to it? Like, it's in Node already, right? You can run .ts files in Node with no problem, install nothing, and it just works.
I feel like we are so far beyond the point of where TypeScript was a question mark. I have not written non-TypeScript in just about, I don't know when the last time I wrote straight up JavaScript was.
7-8 years?
Oh, it's been so long since I've made a .js file. It's actually wild because there was a point during this this podcast has been around long enough that TypeScript was competing with, what was it, Flow and with Reason.
Yeah.
There was no like guarantee that TypeScript is going to become the thing. But TypeScript is not just the thing. To me, TypeScript is JavaScript at this point. I don't see it any other way. And I would be shocked if people are out there writing JavaScript today, like straight up shocked. Especially because now it's so much easier to just run TypeScript, whether you have Bun or anything here.
Yeah.
So like at this point, just do it. Yeah, it's got to be it. Yeah.
This is one of those things where I don't mind them taking their time, because it's not that big of a pain in my butt to run TypeScript in the browser. The amount of times I have to I can't copy paste this into my terminal. Maybe that's the thing, is I just want Chrome DevTools to be able to strip it out for me when I sometimes paste TypeScript into that. But
sure, there
is a world where TypeScript is not it, and type JavaScript looks like something else. So taking a look at that whole landscape, not necessarily like what it does, because this is simply just syntax, but looking at what are the downsides to TypeScript, and maybe we could make some improved syntax and allow that.
Yeah. Why are we thinking about downsides? Just do it.
No, that's the thing is everybody said that with jQuery as well. Just do this, just add jQuery to the browser, and they took their time and they figured out like what actually works for the long-term health of the web, and I think that is fine.
This is why you don't let me on any of these committees. I'm way too YOLO at. I'm just like, I'm too far gone in that direction on everything.
Pipe
honestly.
operator is one that I would absolutely love to see. So in JavaScript, if you've got like imagine you have like a whole bunch of promises that are chained, then, right? Like that's not the pipe operator, but that allows you to read your code sort of like top to bottom or sync await, right? But sometimes you're not dealing with code that looks like that, and you simply just want to take the output of something and then pipe that into something else. And right now, what you have to do is you have to wrap those functions. So you end up with this like sort of bloomin' onion of functions, where if you want to know what it does, you go to the middle, and then you start like stepping it back until you reach the outsides. A pipe operator would be so nice to be able to just like run a function, take the output of that, and immediately pipe that into the next function. And it's been a proposal for many, many years. I'm not sure we'll ever get it, but I would love it.
Yeah, it is one of those ones that's just been hanging around. It does feel like some of these things just sit in limbo forever. And I mean, again, the entire like process of that needs to take time for the reasons we've already outlined. So yeah, it's something I would absolutely take.
It's stage 2 and was last updated 3 years ago.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
wow, 3
not
years.
looking great.
Yeah,
not looking great.
Yeah, just in limbo. Yeah.
Next one is APIs. These are APIs that we want to be added to the web platform. One API, this is not something I want, but something that was really cool is I just started up Riverside here with Scott, and he's like, yeah, your video's a little choppy. And then Riverside popped up this little thing that says, hey, plug your computer in and you'll get better perf, right? Like browsers will sometimes throttle things in the browsers if you're on battery. And as soon as I plugged it in to power, that little thing went away. And that's the navigator.getBattery API. And that's a beautiful use case of that API. And those are the types of things where we used to complain that like native had a lot of these APIs, and now that's just in a website. That works great.
Yeah.
But things we actually want. Please, oh please give me an API for doing cookie banners. I am so sick of the web. You visit any website, and you're blasted with a cookie banner, and like they never remember what you want, like accept all cookies or whatever, and you got to sit there and think about what do I want? I don't care. Get it out of my face. I know that there's browser like extensions, you can ignore them and all that.
Yeah.
We need a set of APIs for opting in to cookies, consent integration, what people have consented to, saving that in the actual browser. We need those APIs like yesterday. Because the web is a mess with cookie banners.
Yeah, and so many of the cookie banners are coded poorly, or they feel like they're like dark patterns all over the place. That's like either yes, I want the browser to accept all my cookies, or no, this is dangerous, you don't accept it. Like so many people are like, the way that they present these banners to you are not nice. I'll just say that. They're not nice for the user in many ways. So yeah, standardizing it, I feel like at this point needs to have happened.
You know what's a nice website that doesn't absolutely blast you in the face with cookie banners?
Ooh, I got a feeling.
Sentry.
Ooh, yeah.
This Sentry at sentry.io/syntax they got rid of all of their cookies on their website, and they had like a massive project to go through. Like something as little as embedding a YouTube video requires a cookie banner. It doesn't mean that you have to get rid of all cookies, right? Like a login cookie or session cookie, those are fine, but like a cookie that tracks you across the web, those you have to actually opt into. So Sentry went on this huge thing to remove them from their platform entirely, which was absolutely awesome. So you should probably use Sentry for your website, for your bugs, for fixing your code. I got this AI thing called Seer that will take a look at your bugs and automatically fix them and send you a pull request. It's fantastic. Sentry.io/syntax.
Yeah. Did you know, Wes, that like there's a billion companies that use Sentry, like Claude, Anthropic uses Sentry. Disney Plus uses Sentry. There's just like some of the Peloton uses Sentry. Every time I'm on my dang Peloton, I think about that, or Tonal. So shout out to all the companies using Sentry out there in the world. Next one I have here, this is, I don't know if this will be controversial, but identity. Oh, there's so many. I'm going to say, I don't know how this would work. Technical details seem like a nightmare for this. We log in. Most of us are logged into our browser. Like, it should be easy enough to use that state of login, whether it is via passkey or whatever, to use that login state on an app. Now, I get it. A lot of people are going to hate this idea because you want to have the individual app have the login and everything like that. But it does feel like there has to be some sort of way to use identity easy on your site and not have to reinvent the auth wheel on every single website.
Yeah.
It just feels like there has to be some way to do that.
Yeah, some sort of, like, passkey was not entirely that, right? But passkey was an attempt to make the pain of logging in much easier. And I love it when it works. Man, logging into GitHub with a passkey, absolutely love it, right? But I think that at the end of the day, this is going to be a phone in your pocket thing. People are going to be able to sign in with the phone in their pocket, or scan your retina or something like that. Yeah, like, why can't like Face ID be the thing? I guess you're almost there with like sign in with Apple, right?
Yeah, sure. But it's still, at the end of the day, what it's doing is it's creating a record in the database with the email address and whatever, and then that is controlled. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Again, idealistic Scott says, hey, we're reinventing the wheel so much here. One thing I have wanted for the longest time, and I've actually written this function myself, is getElementByText, meaning that like you can select an element based on its IDs or attributes or based on the children it has, or if it has a specific thing, but you cannot select an element based on the text that is inside of it, either in JavaScript or in CSS. And I would love, especially with a lot of these agentic browser things, an MCP server with Playwright, you can select an element by text. I would love a native API for that. I don't know if we'll ever get it. It was doable with XPath not before we had document.querySelectOrAll, not before we had document.getElementById. We had this thing called XPath, which is a way for you to select elements based on their XML indentation. And there was something in there that would allow you to select based on the actual text of the element. And that would be sick. Yeah. Did you ever think that we had XPath the same time we had XPac? Do you remember XPac?
What's XPac?
It was like a 2000s era professional wrestler.
Oh, man.
From the class.
I just Googled him. He's doing the suck it. Oh, man,
yes, he was the guy. He was the suck it guy. He was the guy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he might not have been the only. He's definitely not the only guy, but he was Mr. Suck It, I think. For sure.
I did not watch wrestling growing up. I had no idea, but me and my friends would walk around school being like, suck it. And we had no idea what that meant.
Everybody did,
just saying. Nobody knew what they were doing. Now I'm older. I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have been saying that.
Oh, yeah. There was a time, I think when I was in like 9th grade, where I don't think you could have not watched wrestling for that 1 year.
I've maybe watched like 1 or 2 wrestling. And then what's the one where everyone beats the shit out of each other, but it's real?
Oh, I don't know.
No, but it's huge
like
right now.
Backyard wrestling?
Like Dana White.
UFC. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
yes.
UFC. I went to a UFC party once. Holy hell, not for me. That's awful
really?
To watch.
I watch a lot. I don't lately, but I did watch a lot of MMA to the point where I was watching like minor league circuit stuff and stuff. But yeah, no, I like combat sports, that's for sure. I don't watch professional wrestling, though.
All right. This is probably high on my list with browser primitives, and this is just native reactive templates, meaning that you have a variable, you put that variable in the DOM somewhere, and when that variable updates, so does the DOM, right? Some sort of templating, some sort of reactive variables, whether that is with like signals or whatever they choose to do. I would absolutely love something, because I myself, if I'm coding up something very quickly in vanilla JavaScript, I'll always just make some sort of like re-render string where you watch the variable to change. It would be great to have that as a browser primitive.
Yeah. Here's another one. Sync protocol. Wouldn't it be great if you had some kind of CRDT sync setup that you could just access like fetch? Now, granted, there's got to be a server involved, so you'd have to have some sort of sync server. But like, again, this is never going to happen. But like a primitive for accessing sync with a CRDT or even creating that server.
Like, I mean, we have WebSockets, right?
That's what I'm saying.
So,
something along a protocol like WebSockets, or even how about this in terms of the same world of a data or a local first or whatever, just databases that don't suck built into the browser.
Because what do we have? We've got like local storage, not really database, got more of like a key value string store. You've got IndexedDB, right?
Yeah.
There's implementations of SQLite, but you want something that's a little better.
Yeah. Something along the lines of what they're doing with like Postgres in WASM, you know?
Yeah. Virtualization that doesn't suck. What do you mean by this?
Yeah, like virtualized lists. You know, all the virtualized list solutions, especially in like React list or React Virtualize or whatever that was. A virtualization, for people who don't know, is that it renders. You could have a wrapper that only, like if you have a list of 100 items and that wrapper is only like 5 items visible, the additional 100 items or 95 items are not going to render. Basically, saving your browser from having to do that work. The problem is a lot of these virtualization libraries then break search. And then if you do Command F on the page, it doesn't find the item because it's not being loaded. So like something that controls rendering in that way that still doesn't break Command F. So those types of things.
Content visibility in CSS is supposed to do this. So it controls whether an element renders its contents at all, along with forcing a strong set of containment, allowing agents to potentially omit large swatches of layout and rendering work until it becomes needed. Meaning that like you have a list of 20,000 list items, you can put a content visibility property on there, and then the browser will defer rendering it until it thinks it actually needs it. This is one of those things where I don't think we need APIs for this. I just think that like I've had problems with content visibility where I took it off and my performance drastically increased. Totally. It was way better, right?
Yeah.
I think that browsers just need to sort this out, and then we can use as much HTML and you figure it out, right? You're the rendering agent.
Yeah. I don't know. Why am I figuring? You should know if something is on the screen or not, and control how that works. And for sure.
Ollie Williams, hype dev on Twitter, says we want put, patch, and delete on form. So form elements in the browser can only do 2 things: get or post, right? And if you're building an API, you should be using the rest of those, which is put, patch, delete. I think there's a couple other ones. Options, that's a stumped question for later. But if you're trying to build your app in a way that will ideally work without JavaScript, or you're trying to build on like web standards and then using JavaScript to like progressively enhance, if you're updating an item and you want to like use a patch or like a put, or if you're deleting something and you want to simply just have a button that deletes that item via a form submission, you're kind of out of luck. You got to put that into a post, right? And then you got to put it on a different endpoint of like delete item. So that'd be pretty nice as well.
Yeah, I'll take that. I never understood why we have those verbs and they're not just all there.
That's a great question. Like why did they invent those as the browser? Or not, they didn't invent it as a browser. They built it as part of like networking stack.
Yeah.
But why did we never implement those in it? Another one from Carl, Snorkel TV, says text metrics, get bounding box of individual characters. Being able to measure the actual size of it. And the text box trim has been a fantastic addition to CSS. Meaning that if you've ever had that weird thing where your text is a certain height, but like the text is at the bottom of like the line height and it's not centered, text box trim takes care of so many of those use cases, which honestly is probably better than having to measure characters, but there still are, especially in the animation world, there's still lots of cases where you would want to measure how big a letter is. And right now, your only option is span wrap every single character in a span.
Yeah, hell yeah. For lower level connections, you have like Bluetooth listed here. Am I wrong? I thought there was a Bluetooth API. I haven't used this, by the way. Yeah.
So there is a Bluetooth and a web serial API, which allows you to talk directly over, obviously, Bluetooth or USB. And this is super handy for things like programming microcontrollers or being able to update the firmware on your headphones without having to download like some sketchy like install thing just to simply update the firmware, right? And that's why a lot of devices, if you want to update the firmware, you don't download an app. You don't visit a website. You get the iPhone app, right? And then the iPhone app is going to be able to do it. So there are Bluetooth and web serial fantastic APIs, but they have not made their way into standards. They've not made their way. Safari says no way. Firefox hasn't implemented it. So that would be really nice to have control over those things. Sockets, we have web sockets, right? And this is a security thing as well. You're not going to be able to access sockets directly, but when I was driving my Roomba with JavaScript and when I was flying the drone with JavaScript, both of those things communicate from the computer to the wireless device over a socket. So you open up a socket and then you just have these lanes where you can send data back and forth. And in order to actually access that data in the browser, you need to create a server that runs on your computer, and you got to hot potato the data. So the data goes from the drone to a node server, and then the node server sends it over a WebSocket so you can actually access it in the browser. NFC, RFID, again, those things would be fantastic in the browser, especially if you're making like a progressive web app where you want to be able to scan something with RFID.
Yeah. Dude, NFC is so underrated in general. Yeah.
It's really good. Look at this. I've got like a Yoto that I've been hacking right here. And here's the NFC card. Yeah. And I've got this little, this is called a Proxmark 3, little NFC RFID writer.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I've been using that for my Bamboo Lab, the little things that go on the spools of filament. So you can write them. It's a wild world. Very fun.
I'm going to say, Wes, one thing I love about you, you always got some shit on your desk that's going on. That's cool.
A lot. Can we play what are the most random things you can find on your desk?
Yeah.
USB UART. So this is connecting serial. My sister got like some broken thing, and I soldered to it, and I could see the boot logs of that device. What else I got in here? Some glue.
I have a terminal screen. I love this thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. You know, the terminal screen can last for months because it doesn't update the data on it. It doesn't hit the web very often. So it has a set number of screens that it changes between.
This is an e-ink display for our audio listeners.
Oh, yes. It's an e-ink display, and you set up essentially scenes, and those scenes change every 15, 20 minutes or whatever. But you can also say, hey, don't hit the web to update your data unless it's every like 4 hours or even every day or whatever. And therefore, because of that, just on this little battery in here, the screen just lasts forever. I mean, it's like got my calendar, all kinds of stuff on here, just cycling through everything. Yeah, love
that. For some reason, I have an iPhone 3 because one of my kids had it the other day, and I was like, hey, that's history. Where did you find that? They probably went through my boxes and took it out. Salad spoon. I was writing or making some bins for my 3D printing, so I was measuring the spoon, and I never brought that back up.
Yeah,
I got you got a blower?
A Wolf Box blower. It's blowing. I got a silicone soup thing do you have one of these?
Silicone soup thing. No.
You put it in the microwave, and then you put your soup on it whenever you're microwaving it. And then if I need to carry it to my office, like I often do, you just pick up this and carry it into your office like that.
That's what your sleeves are for.
Bro, I've spilled so much soup. I've burnt. Yeah, I got to have a silicone soup sleeve.
I got the Mad CSS logo. By the way, if you haven't checked that out, go to madcss.com. We're doing a major CSS battle tournament. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Wow. The rest of the stuff on my desk is related to my surgery. I'll tell you that.
I could go all day, but I think that's enough. Let's talk about CSS, things that we want in CSS, aside from some of the like primitives being able to style them. Nick Williams says, a way to specify speed, example, pixels a second for transition animations rather than just a duration. That's really cool, right? Because if you have an animation, you tell it, I don't know, 100 seconds or 300 milliseconds, 200 milliseconds, but you don't know how far that is actually going. And if you want them all to feel the same way, same thing where like if you like cancel a transition halfway through, it would be cool to get the physics of that rather than just break it in the middle of a Bezier curve and then just reverse it from there on out.
Word.
That would be sick in CSS.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I'm dying for that, but yeah, more the merrier.
CSS strict mode. There's a lot of like baggage in CSS, right? Like how long has CSS been around for? 100 years. So there's 100 years of baggage in CSS, and there are a lot of weird like oddities that you just kind of have to deal with because you can't break backwards compat of the web. But what if we could? What, like in JavaScript, we did it, right? You just have like a use strict. You can pop at the top of your JavaScript file, or if you simply just use an ES module, then that's considered strict mode, and all of the baggage of the weird web is gone. You break those APIs. So can't we also get strict mode, right?
Yes.
Turn border box on by default.
Yeah, and there's so many dumbly named properties and stuff. Like, right? I'm fine with breaking things if you have a version or a strict mode or whatever. I'm fine with that. Get rid of some of the cruft stuff that you don't need, and make it, yeah.
One for browsers. Christopher Van Houten says, I'd like to see Safari move to Chromium. You hear this a lot. A lot of people say, everybody just move to Chromium. It would be so much easier for me. I'm going to tell you, you do not want that. We do not want a world where there is one browser engine. As easy as it would make your life to be able to just run one engine and run everything, and it runs absolutely everywhere. You do not want a single browser engine. That's what's going to cause the web to stagnate. That's going to cause a whole lot of pain. You do need these things to compete.
I want iOS Safari to be Blink. That's it. That's it. Yeah, I don't like iOS Safari is the dumbest one to debug, and I have so many issues with it, and there's so many like little things here and there with iOS Safari. You can have normal Safari on WebKit, keep the variety going or whatever. But like iOS Safari, or just give me effing Chrome with Blink on iOS, please. Like, I'm so sick of. But
give it to everybody though, because otherwise, like normies are not going to change their browser engine on iOS.
So just for my own personal sanity.
Some countries have already done it. We talked about that a couple episodes ago.
They shouldn't have to have the countries force the company to do the right thing.
Yeah. AI access as a native API. I'm going to tell you, and I actually had several calls with folks that work on Chrome, and I don't think we need this yet, because I don't think that we have figured out what these APIs need to look like. And if you rush these APIs out the door based on like what we need right now, which is like prompting and streaming back text into a chat, then these are the APIs where people are just not going to use them because they're just, these are not nearly as good as what we have. But
that's what happened with web components. Yes,
we do eventually need, I think, some sort of AI access in the browser that will allow you, and my idea is that eventually we're going to get to a spot where you will be able to use your computer's baked in model if you want to, meaning that like hopefully in my ideal world this API would be you can use the local AI that lives on the device, or you can swap that out for a model that you load in yourself, kind of like Transformers.js. Maybe you load like, I don't know, a gig model into your application because it's well worth it for that. Or you can hit like an external API for that type of thing. One API that will be able to do that. And then if you can access your like the iOS model or your Max model or whatever that is on there, then it becomes private. It becomes free, right?
Yeah.
The user's paying for it in their battery and their device, but it could be significantly faster. Like what happens when you can run inference on absolutely everything? What happens when it's extremely fast, where it doesn't take 4 or 5 100 milliseconds a second to come back? What happens when it's like an instant? That opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, really cool. I've been thinking a lot about this kind of stuff lately. Yeah, for sure.
So Chrome is working on this. They have, I'm in the beta that you can like test it out. There's like local AI models, and what it does is Chrome just downloads a small enough model, and then it will run it on your machine, and then you can just ask it for things. But it's slow, it's not very good, and it's at a spot now where people will go, cool demo, but I'm not actually going to use that because it's not very good. I'm just going to use the paid one.
Yeah.
But like even things like date picker input, like natural language to date picker, right? The date picker of the future will simply just be me typing in February 18th, 3 years ago, or the last 40 days starting from next Tuesday. You'd be able to just type those in natural language, have a model compute what that actually is, and then return to you some temporal durations that will match it.
AGI is me entering my credit card expiration date in any gosh darn format that I want and having it just understand it.
Oh man, let me tell you about postal codes inputs in Canada. Holy hell. So postal codes in Canada are like a letter, a number, I don't even know, but it's so obnoxious because first of all, on iOS, you have to switch between every other letter. You have to switch between the keyboard and the number input. And sometimes they have to be capitals. And you put a space in between the first 3 and the second 3 numbers or digits. But sometimes you don't. And then like the validation on postal codes is a nightmare. Sucks.
Sucks.
We need AI for these things. Like I know a lot of you listening are big thumbs downers on our AI episodes, but like you gotta agree with me that like an AI local, free, private model that can parse data inputs for you, or just like simply just like fix your validation errors that are, I've put a space after my email address.
Yes,
that seems like a good use case.
I'm gonna to echo David Kramer's sentiment lately, and it's the people in January 2025 who are still LOLing about AI coding not being useful or good, bro, you are missing it. You're missing it entirely. I think you gotta update your brain because things have changed. The landscape has changed. Everything has changed. I can understand ethical in those types of stances on things, but if you're LOLing it because you think it's not capable, it's
not good. It makes
wrong.
So many mistakes.
You are very wrong.
Tailwind.
Yes.
I was thinking about that as an episode. What do you think about that? Is like, let's go on Blue Sky and ask what people's hangups are.
Mm-hmm.
And like not just like, it's actually really good. Cause like a lot of it sucks, right? Freaking, have you ever tried to like fix a CSS bug with AI? It's awful. At that
there's
all
kinds
right?
of things, yes, and some things take longer, absolutely.
It's not worth it in lots of cases.
Some things are absolutely not worth it. When I did the Hack Week project for our syntax, our CSS battles thing, man, it was way faster to do all that by myself. That's for dang sure. But like, there's a lot of things that it can save you a whole ton of time on, for sure.
All right, I'm putting that on. I'm going to Blue Sky. I'm gonna get absolutely destroyed.
Yes,
but we'll like put together all of like people's thoughts and like why they don't use it, and then we'll just like kind of go through them and say like that's valid or that's I think you are wrong there. Here's how you can fix that type of thing.
And people, when you are defending your stance on not using AI, would it hurt you to not be such an asshole? Like crazy. People are just yelling at people all like, look at this stupid loser who's using AI. Wes did something. Wes had some tweet about 3D on AI, and there's just some absolute loser on Twitter just calling him names for no reason. Like,
what was this? Somebody call me a name?
Bro, you were quote tweeting them.
Oh, I forget what that was.
But your brain.
To be fair, there are so many obnoxious people in this space.
There are so many obnoxious people. Yes.
And like people that have obviously vested interest in saying that this is the next thing. And lots of people just straight up lying. So I get it. But I feel like I'm not one of those people. And I feel like I have a pretty good stance on this stuff. So
yes.
That's where we're at.
Just be reasonable, folks. Please.
All right. Last thing we got here is APIs in Node, Bun, Dino, whatever. Justin White says, I want the web speech API in Bun or Node.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sure.
I don't know that you want just like a straight up, like that's what happened to Chrome. Chrome implemented the web speech API.
Yeah.
Nobody uses it because it sucks.
It sounds bad.
You know?
Yeah.
It's awful. And we're talking both like text to speech and speech to text.
Yep.
And there's always going to be better models out there. So what we really need is, yes, you should be able to use like the Siri voice built into the browser if you want, but you should also be able to load in additional models. And I think that this gets wrapped up in some sort of AI APIs that are built into the browser that let us optionally use the things that are available on the user's device.
Yes. You know what? In that same regard, like, give us good text to speech. I just did a text to speech server myself, and it's not a problem. I have a text to speech server running full time on my laptop, and anytime I need text to speech, whether it is through my agent setup or whatever, it just pings my laptop. It's got the voice, it's got the whatever, and it's like really, really good quality compared to any of the APIs that are in the browser. And it wasn't that hard to set up.
Bonzi Buddy sounding.
Right. And the voice, it's not like, what's the one that 11 Labs? It's not like 11 Labs good, but it's approaching that good. And it's way better than a robot voice. I'll tell you that. I love text to speech. I've been using text to speech so much with my setup that's generating, it's taking research topics for me and turning them into personalized podcasts and those types of things. And setting that text to speech up has been such a nice thing for me in my learning capabilities because I'm not reading anymore. I'm not using the built-in Mac OS one that also sucks. So yeah, text to speech, make it nice.
Alibaba just released a model called Qwen TTS. Which is, in my opinion, as good as a lot of the 11 Lab stuff. And you can run it on like relatively normal hardware. Like you could run it on your laptop if you wanted to, or you can 10 cents per 10,000 characters, which that's a lot, right? You want to read a 5,000 word blog post? Oh no, 5,000 characters. Yeah. It probably can get expensive, but it's not that expensive. And you can train it on your own voice, which is again another ethical problem. Yeah, I don't need anything to replace my voice. I don't need anything like that. I just want to listen to somebody teach me things rather than beauty. All right, let us know down below in the comments, what is the web missing for you? What do you want to see added? Because people are watching. People that do the standards are constantly asking this question. They want to hear, what do people actually want? Leave them down in the comments. Let us know down below what you know. Let's do sick picks. Wes, you got a sick pick? I got a sick pick while you're waiting. You know what? I was just talking to producer Randy the other day about like budgeting and stuff like that. And it made me remember that I've sick picked this a couple of times before, but not recently. And it is New Year. I lean really hard on budgeting software, and it's important to have a good handle on your finances at all times. So I pay for a service called Monarch. And Monarch was like a good successor to like Mint if you used Mint, but it's so much better. And anybody who says Mint was like the pinnacle of this kind of stuff is just, nostalgia, whatever. But they recently redid their goals system because their goals were like one of the things that was lacking. The goals are so much better. They give you like SAN key reports of where your money is going every month, every year, whatever. And I gotta say, the whole thing is just a beautiful, well-made app. It alerts you for
reoccurring transactions that you can be cutting back on, and it helps with so much. And Courtney and I now go through our budget every other weekend, and go through the accounts, and are all working on it together. And it's such a nice, great system. So check it out, Monarch. I'll have a link in the show notes if you weren't using it.
All right, my sick pick. I've sick picked this a couple of years ago, but I can do it again because it's one of those things I just absolutely love.
Wow, that looks so cinematic on camera right now.
Does it?
I think it's probably because you're using the teleprompter. It's like giving a nice diffuse look. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's hitting the glass of the teleprompter. Anyway, this is a Sloanic rechargeable headlamp. I've had this thing for probably 4 years. It is freaking fantastic. I'll tell you what I like about it. It's USB-C rechargeable. It has a removable 18650 cell, meaning that if this thing dies, it's not e-waste. You know, you buy one little battery, you replace it. It is bright as heck. You know, like I'm always working on something where it's super dark and I just want to light the thing up, or I'm at the cottage and it's like super dark and I want to see where the dog is, go into the washer, make sure it doesn't get eaten by a wolf. It is awesome. The elastic on it has out of over 4 years, it is still in really good shape. It just is comfortable on my head. My kids have some really crappy headlamps they've gotten as gifts, and they always take mine because this one is the best. So if you are looking for a nice quality headlamp, it's a very dad purchase, but check out these Sloanic headlamps.
Yeah, heck yeah, cool. Well, check us out on YouTube, check us out on your podcast player, all that good stuff, and we will see you next time.
Peace.